How's it going, YouTube? Oxy here, and welcome back. Yeah, I'm back. I was gone for the weekend. I went to the Mothman Festival, of course, held every year in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Had a blast, had a lot of fun. Yeah, definitely would love to go back. But that's besides the point. I'm back, got some exciting news. Of course, me being an Xbox player, there's a Xbox and Microsoft had a huge leak that came out. Document from the FTC trial that technically is still not over, right? They still had to appeal in the essentially the UK jurisdiction area, right? The CMA, I believe, is the um, commission or whatever that they had to get approved there so they can finally own Activision Blizzard King worldwide. So a document was leaked. Now an old one, which emphasized old, which I feel like a lot of people are jumping to assumptions way too fast when even in the all the news articles it's an old document. Anyways, there's a lot. There's like apparently gonna be a Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster, Fallout 3 remastered, which I believe because we're getting endless remasters, remakes, so it makes sense. The big one I'm gonna touch on, and a lot of people, is that a new Doom was also announced, Doom Year Zero, which I'm gonna get into that one. And yeah, uh, a new Xbox is also announced, a mid-gen refresh coming out next year, which I do believe, because the entire Xbox Series and PlayStation 5 generation is pretty much expected to end in 2028, which goes with the usual 7 to 8 year generation cycle the two have. Um, so yeah, we'll get the Xbox 5 and PS6 in 2028, but both of them seem to have mid gen upgrades like a PS4 Pro or a Xbox One X, right? Like those next year, or maybe they got delayed. We'll see. But in the Xbox side, that console is pretty much the same, just that it's all digital. It has double the storage, 2 terabytes, which hey is nice. And I believe it's slightly weaker or uses less power. I don't know the specifics, but I read something that it was like the regular Series X uses 12, I don't know, core processors. I don't know, but this new one only has 9, or that it just uses less energy. Like it might be a slightly less powerful, pretty much the same thing, double the storage. It's digital only, which for us physical collectors, that's a bad sign. And it's like cylindrical instead of like the big fridge. So yeah, that's coming. But yeah, a lot of games like Dishonored 3 and all the ones I've mentioned previously. But I point out it's an old document because Starfield was slated for 2021, which of course it just came out a couple weeks ago. Yeah, like September 6th, so it's 2 years late. This document also claims we're going to get Elder Scrolls 6 next year in 2024, which that one is pretty much believed to be like a 2026 or later. I wouldn't even be surprised if that game doesn't even come out this generation, or it'll be a cross-gen, like it'll be on the next Xbox in like 2028. I feel like ES6 is going to be end of the generation type of game. Honestly, probably like 2027 if I had to guess. Because yeah, we've only heard it's in like pre-production, and Starfield, I've heard is massive, so I'm assuming that game will be. So it's gonna be a long time. But Doom Year Zero, that's a game everyone is focusing on, right? Because in this document now, some games were correctly like their release date is what happened. Like Doom Eternal, had its original one. Well, no, Doom Eternal was originally a 2019 game. like November, if people remember, but got delayed to 2020. But in this document, they correctly had it on 2020. Or I think Redfall 2, they had it in the right year. But Doom Year Zero is expected or was scheduled to come out this year, which we have had no announcement. Now, sure, just like ES6, all of this could have been delayed. But people forget, these games could very much have been canceled or changed, which I don't think Doom Zero is happening. I still truly believe we're getting Quake next from id Software. But everyone just seemed to have jumped on this propaganda that we're getting a new Doom. I really don't think so. Because yeah, Year Zero, that title instantly makes you think, okay, it's a prequel, right? I'm assuming before 2016, before Eternal, when he was Doom Guy, right, and getting to Argent and meeting the Night Sentinels, and essentially at the becoming the Doom Slayer. That's what many people are speculating this game will be. Again, it has 2 expansions, just like Doom Eternal had Ancient Gods Part 1 and 2. It was meant to be a big player for them, for Bethesda. And like, it was expected to make more than Eternal, which naturally, right, the way investments go, it's like expected to make more than the last one, bigger audience, etc. You get it. So, yeah, by that name alone, we assume it's a prequel. My main issues with it are just that, so, as of recent, like after Eternal, after Ancient Gods 1 and 2, Hugo Martin, right, the creative director, has made it very clear that at least the Doomslayer story up to Eternal in that place and time is like over. I put it akin to Halo 3 when Master Chief gets put in cryo sleep. Same thing. The Slayer gets put in a sarcophagus until he is needed again. That is id Software telling us, we will not see the Slayer for a while, right? I think that's pretty straightforward, like that's what they're saying. They have talked about that for their next game, not essentially next Doom game, just next game in general. I believe in one of the dev streams he would do, like for the Slayers Club, when he would play through all the levels, he was asked, and he's like, he wanted to deal with Cthulhu, or like Cthulhu monsters, and many of us were like, oh, it's gotta be Quake, like Quake 1, back to that Lovecraft settings. And of course, we've had the remasters in 2021. We had the Quake 1 remaster. This year we had the Quake 2 remaster. Like, they're putting so much behind Quake that I'm just like, I don't see them doing a new Doom. Now, yes, I understand the title Year Zero sounds like a prequel, and many of us believe that's what it was meant to be. It very much could have been. But then again, it's like, so they were saying, we don't want to see the Slayer, or it could be a different protagonist. Maybe we play as some random UAC soldier. It wouldn't be the first time, right? If you look at Doom 3, which was essentially a retelling of Doom 1, it's not part of the timeline. I don't know why people always try to fit it in. It's like an alternate timeline, basically. Our Doom Marine was like the main protagonist of that campaign, but then in Resurrection of Evil, it's like another Marine, right? So yeah, people argue, okay, maybe not the Slayer, maybe someone else. And being that it's a prequel, it'll be like in different, maybe it's more melee focused, but I'm like, I don't know, that just doesn't seem like Doom to me, And again, I emphasized earlier that this is an old document. Many of these games could have been canceled. Like, people just ignore that. Like, it's like, just because it was on their docket or plan, they could have changed their mind. Look at Doom 2016. It was originally going to be some Call of Duty clone, right? That was going to come out like in 2013. Or 2013 is where they rebooted it, right? They changed it completely and got the great game that we ended up getting in 2016. it's like year zero could very much be not a thing anymore. Yes, the studio has talked about they would like to explore that time um, before the Doom Slayer and like in between Doom 64 and 2016 because those games connect, right? Like chronologically. So I know at first they're like, oh, we could do a comic, like a tie-in or something, like tell that story. And yeah, this game fits, but then it's like, I don't know. They very much made it a point with Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods Part Two's ending to be like, we're putting Doom to the side. We, like, Eternal really, for many people, me included, is like almost peak, like, FPS gameplay. It's so refined that, like, where do you go from there, And I think that's why they were putting the Slayer and essentially the Doom franchise to rest for a bit. It's not going away forever. And people forget that Doom games like take large hiatuses. Like Doom 2 was what? 94? Final Doom I guess is technically an official release, even though it doesn't fit in the timeline. Again, it's alternate timeline. That was 96. We got Doom 3 in 2004, and then Doom 2016 was in like 2016. The DLC for Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil was 2005. That's 11 years. Like, it's like, people, this franchise is not that consistent. Like, Eternal was like, yeah, we finally got like a direct sequel. But expect the franchise to go away for a while. That's like normal for it to do. And sure, there's the argument, could year zero be like after Eternal? Yeah, very much could. They could eat their words and be like, you know what? We're gonna bring the Slayer back. Or again, maybe it's not the Slayer. Maybe you play with him and like halfway. But I don't know. It doesn't make sense. The reason I am still convinced we're getting a new Quake, again, all this attention with like all the remasters. If you follow the esports scene, admittedly Quake isn't what it used to be, but like the Quake Pro League, it's still up in the air if they're even gonna have a 2024 season for Quake Champions, which I'm like, I wonder why. Maybe because possibly the Game Awards at the end of this year, or I feel like maybe it gets like a teaser announced, but I feel like at E3, so like the summer showcase next year in June, we're gonna get a full reveal for the next id Software title. I don't know. I just feel like it makes a lot more sense. It would have been Quake. It's just like it's a franchise that is long overdue. Like Doom had its time to shine. Wolfenstein by Machine Games, a close sister studio did Software, right? They helped with the Quake remasters. They made brand new expansions, like episodes for the Quake 1 and Quake 2 remasters. So, what I could see, let's say I'm completely wrong. Let's say there is what's likely would have been a prequel Doom 2016 game, Doom Year Zero, coming out. People forget that id Software is a pretty big studio. They have a couple hundred people, if I'm not wrong. They have 2 offices, obviously the main one in Texas and one in Germany that's more like the engine, right? Like id Tech. But they have a lot of employees. It's a big studio. They have worked on more than one title, not just Doom. I mean, people forget Quake Champions. Now, yes, that was with Saber Interactive, which Tim Willits ended up leaving id Software to become the head of Saber. They collaborated and made Quake Champions, which I believe was mainly Saber. Okay, Rage 2, same thing. That game came out in between Doom 2016. Quake Champions was like a year later. It was put in early access, like a year after. Rage 2, again, another id Software title. Now, yes, another collaboration with Avalanche Studios, the people behind the Just Cause series. That game came out in like 2018, 19. And then, of course, Doom Eternal in 2020. So id Software isn't limited to being like one game every 3 to 4 years. Yes, they collab, but they've brought out more stuff. So who's to say if Doom Year Zero, let's say, does happen, is their single focus game? Because admittedly, Doom is a big franchise and it's getting them a lot of money. Glad to see it popular. Like, I love Doom, but I think it's okay to put it to rest for a bit. Give Quake that chance to come back. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a diehard Doom fan. I always said it was my favorite franchise of all time. But even I gotta admit, Quake 1 was like a bigger deal. Like, Doom is fondly remembered as like so important, but um yeah, I just feel like Quake 1 especially, it was like just groundbreaking. Like the game like popularized mouse look, like fucking online play, like so many things, invented esports, like 3D environments on PC. It's the reason PC Master Race is even a thing, right? Like graphics cards, which is now a standard in gaming, is like popularized by Quake. Some of the earliest graphics cards literally advertise themselves as like we run Quake, or like, it runs so much better than like on software. Like, I don't know. To me, it just makes a lot more sense that we're getting a new Quake. And yeah, if the Doom is like just id by themselves, Machine Games, as I said, loves Quake. Like, I believe one of the studio leads or the head, Yerk, I don't know his last name. He very passionately talks about, I got into the gaming business by like Quake 1 modding. So who's to say that the new Quake isn't another collab game, just like Quake Champions or H2 between id Software and Machine Games? That way, we can have the new Doom and the proper like Quake 5 reboot. I do think it will tie in the Lovecraft stuff with the Strogg, which I'm a fan of. I know so many people want only the Lovecraft stuff, but I'm like, look, I'm more nostalgic for Quake 2. I played it a lot in the N64. But with the remasters, I can appreciate Quake 1. It's awesome. It has an atmosphere. And yeah, I can see those universes combining. But sticking to my guns, Doom Year Zero, I just don't think it's happening. I feel like it was an idea. Oh, I haven't even touched on this document is probably pre the Microsoft acquisition. So and this is just me speculating, they probably had planned out, okay, we're gonna do a Doom 3, like before they even had like Ancient Gods, like what was gonna happen. Like, they're gonna do a sequel, prequel, whatever. But then the acquisition, obviously, the developers like the ZeniMax, like Bethesda themselves, are gonna know before the public, right? You got to do those behind the scenes like deals. So the studios probably knew we're gonna be bought by Microsoft. So I feel like that's what made id Software potentially put the Doom series to rest, because they're like, oh, does that mean our next game would have to be exclusive, right? So maybe that's why they're like put the Slayer to rest, just to figure that out, or because they don't want to like leave people out, or give enough time so that if the next Doom game is exclusive, which if I was Microsoft, I would do that, because I mean that would be a system seller. I guess it gives just more of a gap, so the backlash isn't as harsh. Like, people don't think of that. Maybe it was in production before the acquisition, but once the acquisition happened, they probably were like, nah, let's do Quake, something new. And maybe Quake would be more easily accepted if they make that an exclusive, because they're like, hey, it isn't Doom, it's like something else. It's a beloved franchise coming back, but it's our first entry. Whereas Doom, those fans on other platforms may feel cheated, because they're like, oh, the 2016 Eternal were everywhere, but this new game won't be. Who knows, But I don't think it's happening. I still firmly believe we're getting a new Quake. And again, if both can happen, id Software has shown they're capable of developing more than one game at the same time. Maybe with some help, but you get it. It's possible. So, Quake, please, like Doom has had its time to shine. Give us a new Quake. But yeah, guys, that's just my little ramble. Even Phil Spencer put out a tweet just kind of saying like it's an old document and we have a bunch of new stuff, and just announcements to look forward to, because Wolfenstein 3 wasn't even on that document. I'm like, bro, like, I know Machine Games is also working on the Indiana Jones game led by Todd Howard, right? That's happening. Oh, that's another thing. Why the Quake? Again, I've made the argument that the Machine Games may possibly co-develop this next Quake with its software. Maybe that explains why Wolfenstein 3 isn't mentioned, because they're making the Indiana Jones game. Like, that's a done deal contract. Maybe instead of Wolf 3, they were given the opportunity, hey, let's do Quake. And that's why we don't see Wolf 3. Like, I don't know. It just makes too much sense to me. Quake, it's software, please. Please give us a new Quake. I beg of you. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Let me know. Do you still think we're getting this prequel Doom game? Or is it Quake? Are we getting both? Is it neither? Are they just making a brand new IP? Who knows? Hopefully we find out sometime soon, whether the Game Awards or, like I said, E3 next year, the summer showcase. I'm just excited, and I can't wait for the announcement of whatever it is. But yeah, guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this type of content, I usually make videos twice a week, so please be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good jazz. And as always, everyone, I've been your host, Oxy. Take care, and I'll see you next time.